How's it rockin', Dween Nation? This is the Dween Sports Podcast. We're about to get underway. But before we do, we'd love if you could like, comment, subscribe, or share. We are posting weekly sports content, and we want to build up the brand that is Dween Sports. Thank you all, and enjoy.
Welcome in, Dween Nation. This is your host, Justin Paez, alongside Genoa Agudelo, and we're here to the NFC side of the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Super excited to talk about the two games on tap. Winners move to the NFC Conference Championship match. We got two games. We got the Rams heading into Philadelphia, and we have the Washington Commanders headed into Detroit. I'm excited to talk about both of these games. But before we do, how you doing, Genoa?
Yo, Dween Nation. Doing good, Justin. It's going to be such an interesting run there to the NFC title game next week. But it's going to be a fun weekend there, Justin, because we got one of the more better rookie seasons we've seen, obviously compared to last year. CJ going in Detroit there, right? I mean, Jaden Daniels, what a story he's become. And then on the other side, we got the Rams and the Eagles there. And they played each other earlier this year where SAQUON had a historic night on Sunday Night Football. And, I mean, the wide receivers in that game, I mean, wow, this game is going to feed. I mean, those games on Sunday, Justin, those two games on Sunday, glad to be on the couch watching both games. So those two games specifically are going to feed generations for years to come. I mean, we're going to be eating for years and years and come because of those games there. But doing good and excited to see who are the two teams that we're going to be saying, Justin, these are the two best NFC teams, and they're going to be fighting for the right to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and let's start with the first game that is happening on Saturday with the Commanders and the Lions. And Jaden Daniels obviously pulled out game-winning drive to beat Tampa Bay last week with the Doink field goal victory. And he's just been phenomenal this year. Obviously, he's going to be the Rookie of the Year on the offensive side of the ball. And not that he has the best offensive weapons, but he always seems to get it done this year. And he has had 3 games this year where his team hasn't had to punt the football. That is tremendously tremendous. I think actually, like, I saw a stat. It was like Mahomes, Manning, Rodgers, and somebody else have only had to combine 2 times where that happened. So Jaden Daniels is doing what no other quarterback has ever done. He won a playoff game as a rookie with a rookie, or not a rookie head coach, but a coach in his first year with the new team. Obviously, a rookie quarterback has never made a Super Bowl, never won a Super Bowl. I don't think that'll happen in this trip, but I think that he's going to have a very good game against the Lions. I know the Lions are coming off the bye. They get to prepare, and they've been very good this season. I think Washington will put up a solid fight. I think Detroit will continue to dominate with that run game. I think we expect David Montgomery's return in this game, which will bring a lot of energy to the Lions fans as well as the team. And I just think this is a somewhat of a last ride for the Lions, even though they never won anything before. But I think if you saw our head coaching episode, we think that Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn might be headed to head coaching gigs, and that could change a lot for Detroit heading into next season. But this game brings a lot of excitement. I'm excited to see offense on both sides. I think that both offenses will bring it, not as much for the defenses. But what do you think about this game?
Justin, you know what's interesting about this game? Now that you mentioned that David Montgomery's back, both of these teams now have kind of like a two-headed running back team going for both teams. We saw a lot of touches out of Austin Eckler. I think he had a big time run to send him into field goal last week. And Brian Robinson, he's been a little quiet the back half of the season, but I feel like at some point he could break out. This might be the game there, Justin, because in some ways Detroit is beatable, whether it's through the run or through the pass. But you know what, Justin? I feel like with this game, Detroit's going to be ready to go. They're ready, going to be rocking. They want to host the NFC title game at home for the right to go to the Super Bowl the next week. And I feel like with the rookie quarterback, it's just kind of like one of those things last year where CJ wins a playoff game, right? And then he goes to Baltimore, the number 1 seed, kind of one of the best teams all year with the MVP. And it just doesn't work out. And I think this year is kind of the thing there. And this matchup is Dan Campbell versus Dan Quinn, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. But Justin, I feel like I think that the Lions are going to be able to kind of what they've done all season, just kind of run up the score early. But Jaden Daniels there, Justin, I mean, He's been playing absolutely fluid. I mean, just consistent there. Seems like a veteran. Seems poised. Doesn't flinch at all, no matter what's going on in the game. I mean, I was very impressed with him. I mean, there were some penalties that this Commanders offense had to go through, and in the following play, Jaden Daniels just makes the right throw. And then old man Zach Ertz, man. I mean, he's back on it. He is questionable for this game, and I do think he'll play. But Justin, this guy has been and this guy's a Hall of Famer. I mean, this guy's a playoff warrior. Obviously, as an Eagles fan, Justin, for you, you know him very well. As all of Philly fan bases will forever love Zach Ertz. He never has to pay for a meal in Philadelphia ever again. And this guy just does it, man. It's still going. All these years later, he was had a stint in Arizona, had some dinged up injuries. We thought he was done, but no, Justin, he is the lead guy as far as the tight end position there, and it's going to be very interesting. But Justin, I don't think I'm going to see a lot out of Terry McLaurin this game, and I feel like Detroit's going to be able to force Jan Dennis to go into Zacchaeus or to Brown, and so I just feel like that's going to be a big factor. The big X factor for Washington is Terry McLaurin. If they can get him go early, he's going to be the guy that's at least just. I don't mean to be dramatic, but he needs like 14 to 16 targets. I mean, it has to happen. But this Lions offense, they're going to start off hot with Montgomery being there. Sonic and Knuckles is back. I think that's going to give them the speed. They're going to get all their coins that they need. And so give me the Lions 31-19.
Yeah, I mean, wow, we had a really close one. I penciled in 31-21 for the Lions. I just think, Gibbs really ended the regular season on such a hot streak, had 8 touchdowns over the last 4 games. And Jared Goff, too. Over his last 5 games, he averaged 3 throwing touchdowns in those games. So Detroit can put up points like no other team can. Obviously, he was first in points this season.
They got rest.
And they got rest. Amon-Ra came out this week, said, I know Diami Brown. The Commanders picked Diami Brown over me when we drafted, and I don't forget that.
Sure.
So he's motivated in this game as well. So I just think the Lions have so much going for them. And I'd argue, I feel like last week was like the Commanders' Super Bowl. Like I think the favorite in that game was Tampa Bay, but they pull it out. They have, this is such a win of a season already for the Commanders, and I think that even though they lose this week, they're happy with the season they had. And Lions win by double digits for both of us. Moving to the second game, the Rams and the Eagles. The Rams had a really impressive win, which I'm gonna pat myself on the back. I picked the Rams. It was a more of a dominating game though, with the Rams winning by 16 points, 27-9. They continue their streak. If the starters are playing, the last 4 games have been under 10 points allowed for the opposing offense. So Philadelphia has a test, and their offense didn't look all that pretty against Green Bay last week, which means this game is going. I think this game is going to be the closest. Maybe the Ravens and Bills game could be close, but actually, I do think the Rams and the Eagles game will be the closest on the slate. I know Saquon had that phenomenal 255 and 2 scores in their game earlier this year. And I think that they're going to need Saquon big time in this game. But just the way the Rams defense has turned it around. For the first half of the year, they were dog, crap, awful. But now they've been so on fire the last month. I think they're gonna make this game close. And honestly, I don't even have a pick right now. I'm kind of flipping back and forth. But what is your take on this game?
Justin, the Eagles are 6.5-point favorites there. And I don't know if Vegas knows what they're doing there, because you guys have got to watch out for these Rams. I mean, I talked a little bit smacked about their defense in last week, and I was kind of thinking, I don't know. I mean, they got Jettas, and, you can run the ball. I'm a little concerned, but no, this defense proved me wrong. They got to Sam Darnold, it seemed, as every play. I mean, the last kind of drive or two for Darnold, I mean, he just did not know where to throw. I mean, that second half, Darnold looked absolutely confused. He was getting sacked. He was holding on to the ball way too long. And that's just the fact that you got to give credit to how this Rams team was able to cover. I mean, you got Jettas. You got Hawkinson, who had a pretty good game. You got Addison, who ended the regular season on a high note. And you got Naylor, who's capable of making plays. And it's just Sam Darnold was not able to get it to any of those guys. And technically, this wasn't really a home game for the Rams. And so, it was just phenomenal that, this team had to deal with what they were dealing with in Los Angeles. And still able to play at a ferocious level. I mean, that pass rush was unbelievable, Justin. Just Sam Darnold was not able to do anything. Very shocking, to be honest. If the Vikings were going to lose, I mean, man, I thought they were going to lose swinging. But, man, they didn't even surpass the points total that they scored in their Thursday night matchup in the regular season against the Rams. And so you got to give credit to the Rams there. And this head coaching matchup is quite interesting. You got Sirianni going against McVay. I mean, these are guys that have made some noise in the NFC for some time. They got some pretty dynamic offenses there, Justin. I mean, you got Saquon versus Kyron. You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith versus Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, question mark? I don't know what has happened to Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, sure.
But you know what? Still a dynamic, kind of game there. And, both of these teams more recently have won the NFC. And so with these two head coaches, and so a lot of experience between both teams, a lot of firepower. This is a fantasy football's dream. I mean, those Sunday games, like I mentioned, that Sunday game are just full of fantasy football players that go in first or second rounds there. And so this is going to be such a nice matchup. And I feel like to come down to it, I first of all, Justin, I think this is probably the biggest like upset alert. Like this game out of all, because no one thinks the Texans are winning, right? The Bills versus the Ravens. I don't really think there's like a favorite or underdog. It's kind of like whoever wins, like we're not surprised, like both teams. And then like Washington and Detroit, it's like, like we don't really expect a rookie quarterback. Like we don't think it's upset alert. But this game right here, Justin, is upset alert. Just a couple things before I hand it off back to you. The thing with AJ Brown reading the book last week on the sideline, I don't know if that's like him being sarcastic that he's not getting the ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not getting the ball. Like, okay, screw this. I'm gonna just read my book. Like, I don't know if that's like a sarcastic kind of thing. I don't know if that's kind of shady. And I'm only saying that because he had something going on with Hurts before the season ended, right? He had there was some chatter there. There was some Sirianni getting involved. And so I don't know if that was like him being like, so I don't know if team chemistry is all the way there. Not to mention Hurts has been a little shaky there, a little dicey. Did he look good against the Packers last week? So I don't know, Justin. I feel like the Rams are playing a little bit together. So I feel like this game is more an upset alert. However, I did pick the Eagles before the season started to be in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to have to go with the Eagles there. But I think they're going to score the same amount of points as they did last week. I'm picking them to win on a last kind of second field goal, 22-19. I think the Rams keep it absolutely close. I think they score a touchdown with like a minute 15 left. And I like Jalen Hurts enough to make a big play and lead it for Jake Elliott to finish the game there.
Yeah, I mean, I have it somewhat very close to that. I have 23-20. Philadelphia gets the victory.
Wow.
Sirianni is 2-0 in his history against McVay, obviously the one this season, and they played each other in the past. Vic Fangio has played, when he was the head coach, he played McVay and the Rams, and he got the best of them. So there's some history beating the Rams. And I think it's just Saquon's game. They were like, hey, Saquon, you need to go for the record, man. Like, you could have done it in Week 18 and beat Eric Dickerson's record. And he said no, and they sat him. I think they don't want that to kind of be for nothing. I know they won against Green Bay, and he did solid. He had 25 carries, but he wasn't super efficient. I think this week he kind of puts his stamp on. Like, this is Saquon. This is a Saquon game. I could see AJ though stepping back into the spotlight after having a dud week last week. But we both have Philadelphia, and we both have Detroit, which will, if you've seen our other episode, I won't spoil it, but the NFC side of the bracket heading into the conference championships is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions, which is super exciting. I feel like that's kind of been the crash course landing. Everybody's been kind of thinking that those two teams might face off, and we didn't see it this year, so that'd be super interesting to see. Hurts versus Goff, super exciting stuff. But those are our predictions for the NFC. If you're interested in AFC, we have another episode that's just below this one, so just check that out. And thank you guys for listening. And Genoa, send us out.
Yo, Dewey Nation, this was our NFC divisional round predictions there. Go ahead and leave a comment below and let us know what you guys are thinking for this round. This is probably one of the best divisional lineups we've ever seen in the second round there. The road to the Super Bowl is going to be absolutely exciting. And I mean, who is a better team to cover it than Justin and I here? So, Dewey Nation, go ahead and check us out some more. We got a whole ton of content there. And then check us out next week because we're going to be able to let you know what we're thinking for the Super Bowl because we'll be down to the final 4 teams there as we are on the road to the Super Bowl there. It's going to be a fun one there in New Orleans on February 9th. We love you guys. Thanks for watching. And as always, peace.